Canada, well, the West, as we know, is in such great peril. It's hard to even put a fine word to it. But here in Canada, we're talking $150 billion in resource projects over the last 15 years, maybe less, have all been turfed as a result of this whole environmental lunacy. Nothing's getting built in Canada anymore. Nothing. This will be Venezuela. We need to start getting back to understanding what communism is. Because Alexandra AOC, whatever her name is, she's a communist. Bernie Sanders is a communist. These environmental radicals that want to destroy capitalism are communists. When they're talking about destroying capitalism, that's communism. Pure and simple. Progressives are above communist, socialist, fascist. It's the progressivism is actually the thread that cuts through all of it, because communists, socialists, and fascists are all historical determinists. They all believe in this march forward. That march forward is always progress. And for all three, it's the progress of making a better man, making better human beings, making better people, making a better world, making a better society. Why can't just we make it all better? And then for those that don't want to play along and march along that, that's when the happens, because, you're dehumanized at that point, right? You're not really a person. You're not a thing. You're such an enemy. See, they're the ones that are always screaming. It's just so brutal. They're always saying, oh, you on the right, you are always othering. You're othering all the time. Other. No, the left others. Progressives other. They are the masters of othering. It is their technique. So if you are a part of the other, what happens is that in the process of othering, the group, the ideology that's doing the othering seeks to normalize itself, and it seeks to exnominate all viable alternatives. So the process of exnomination is the process of dehumanization. So when you exnominate, it's not like you're like, okay, we're not going to talk about them. Exnomination is erasing the other from all viable alternatives. It's not a viable alternative. It's not even something that you can even consider that it's possible. We're in a process right now where I will just use terms like traditional, regular, ordinary Canadians are being exnominated from the culture, from the dialogue. And sooner or later, we already are in their minds. We're already not viable. We and our positions and how we think are not viable. So they're doing everything they can to push us out. And that's what the communists did. And, eventually, it does lead to terror. And don't listen to the left or progressives if they want to start talking about the Crusades and this and that, and terror has always been around. Terror in terms of how it's used politically in an ideological battle and in a process of exnominating all viable alternatives, that, my friends, is only about 250 years old, and you can thank the French. It is from the French Revolution, the Public Safety Committee, and Robespierre. That's historical fact. You can, read Lenin and Stalin and everything else, and they'll talk about terror, and they'll talk about their implementation of terror, and they'll directly link it right back to the French Revolution, the Black Book of Communism. Crimes, terror, repression. This is the Bible on communism. This is the historical account of all of the instances of communism, where it came from, how many people died. Throughout the 19th century, theories about revolutionary violence were dominated by the founding experience of the French Revolution. In 1793 to 94, the French Revolution went through a period of extreme violence that took three distinct forms. The most savage were the September massacres, during which 1,000 people were spontaneously killed by rioters in Paris with no intervention by the government and no instructions from any party. The best known form of violence was carried out by revolutionary tribunals, surveillance committees, and the guillotine, accounting for the death of 2,625 people in Paris and 16,600 in the provinces. This is in 12 months. Terror without virtue is impotent. Virtue without terror is blind. So terror and virtue in this way of thinking, which is the communist thinking, which is ultimately the socialist thinking, which ultimately is the progressive thinking, which you can also see behind every single, crushing of people in cancel culture, the Me Too false allegations when they're false, just all of that, right? All of that. It's terror and virtue together are equal sides of a same coin. Robespierre theorized as government by virtue. So, invented to destroy the aristocracy, it soon became the means to dispose of the wicked and to combat crime. It became an internal part of revolution and appeared to be the only means of forming future citizens of the Republic. Again, this is a 250-year-old idea. So using terror and virtue to form the future citizens of the Republic. If the Republic of Free Citizens was not yet a possibility, free citizens, not yet a possibility, it must be because certain individuals corrupted by their past, meaning even your ancestors' past, here in Canada right now, you're a 30-year-old white dude, you're at fault for what white people did 80 years ago to the natives. That's the argument that's made. 100% all the time. You have been corrupted by the past. Terror became the means by which revolution, the history yet to be created, would forge the new human beings of the future. All of that movement to diffuse power across the mob, across the herd, that's a socialist thing. Because you want to get that power into as many people as possible, because you know that you can control the masses through appealing to base emotion and fear, right? That's why the terror works. We arguably are living in terror all day long. Everything is terror, and that's what's hurting us around. So us in all of our, capitalist splendor here, soaking up in our energy and resources, right? We are blocking the guilty white person, Trudeau, and the rest of them, progressives, that are running everything. We are in their way of achieving the utopia of the new human being of the future. That's why we're reactionary. That's why we're called reactionaries. That's why we are the enemy, because we're in their way.